We came up with 8 key points, and the main ones I think at the moment are for everyone that is visiting Gypsy Cove and Yorke Bay on cruise ship days to stick to the countryside code. And that's including the operators, the guides and the tourists, and the ratio of the 1 guide to 16 guests.
It's about protecting the environment and the wildlife of the islands. Yorke Bay became an issue last year. Over the last couple of years since it's been reopened, more and more people have been going there and they're really, really excited. They get there, it's a beautiful beach, there's lots and lots of penguins, usually a couple of different species, and so people go and get close to the penguins. And last year became a bit of an issue in the peak seasons. On the bigger cruise ship days, people were observed not complying with those kind of recommended guidelines. And there was quite an outbreak on Facebook of people behaving badly, which really gives a really bad impression of the Falklands to visitors and to the international market. People might monitor our Facebook pages, maybe considering coming in future years. So the Environmental Department stepped up and improved how passengers could go down there. They put ropes up so that they could no longer just freely roam onto the beach, and signage, and increase the number of wardens that were down there to try and help it. And so this year we're really just moving forward from that.
It's not just the tourists that disturb the wildlife, but if the wildlife is continuing to be disturbed, they can move. So the gentoos might decide that they don't want to breed in that location anymore and move to a different location, and we will lose that site so close to Stanley that's so accessible for locals and for tourists. And we really don't want that to happen. So these guidelines will be helpful in maintaining the colonies in these areas. Our department will be going down on some of the busier days just to see how everything's working, whether people are adhering to these guidelines. And we should be able to see that quite easily from being down there on those days. But the enforcement side mainly comes through FITB's licence to operate.
So the licence to operate has a 3-strike system. So complaints can be made about operators behaving against the guidelines of the licence. And if an operator receives 3 strikes, then they are removed from being able to sell their product from the tourist board or from the jetty centre. The jetty centre is obviously the premium place where people want to be and sell tours on a turn-up basis for Gypsy Cove and Yorke Bay. We're not actually responsible for Gypsy Cove or Yorke Bay. That doesn't come under our remit. So this is just a collaborative working with the government for best practice, so that international tourists and locals all have a great experience at what is an amazing wildlife area.